আমি পুরা না পড়িব কিন্তু একটা দুইটা পয়েন্টস তো হাইলাইট করে দিব। India's few decades of existence as a nation state cannot negate the fact that much before the modern Indian nation state came into being, the indigenous Nagas had long established the homeland in the Naga Hills. It is this reality from where the Nagas derived their historical rights. दूसरा एक point ऐसे है, forcing our people to obtain border pass to move in their own land is unacceptable, as it tantamounts to taking permission to move around one's own home. Since the implementation of the border pass system, residents of the bordering districts have been bearing the brunt of the new system. Another point is that we oppose erecting border fences on the India-Myanmar border, as we are against the idea of dividing our ancestral land. Constructing fences along the border and dividing our people and our land is an outright violation of the indigenous rights. Another point is we would like to firmly state that we will not allow our rights to be compromised at any cost. Our democratic appeal and civilized protest to safeguard our rights should not be seen as our weakness. Now, in 2007, United Nations has declared rights of the indigenous people. UNOD 2007 te rights of the indigenous people koine ekta charter olai dise. Itu charter te India is a signatory to this charter of the rights of the indigenous people. And so we are quoting Article 36 of this Charter of Indigenous Peoples' Rights. And I will read this portion. As a signature to the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights of Indigenous Peoples 2007, India's approach towards the indigenous people along Indo-Myanmar border must be guided by the principles of Article 36 of the Declaration, which states, and I quote, indigenous people, in particular those divided by international borders, have the right to maintain and develop contacts, relations, and cooperation, including activities for spiritual, cultural, political, economic, and social purposes with their own members, as well as with other peoples across borders. The state, in consultation and cooperation with indigenous people, shall take effective measures to facilitate the exercise and ensure the implementation of this right, unquote. This is the provision of Article 36 of UN Charters on the rights of the indigenous people, to which India is a signatory. So we urge India to implement the Indo-Myanmar border policies on the basis of this rights, which as stated, India has been a signatory.
Support as mentioned by the previous speakers, we Nagas have been living in India-Myanmar border since time immemorial, sharing culture, tradition, family ties, agriculture, and landed properties across the artificial borders. The free movement regime came into existence in 1968. It freely up Jagrubo Garni Kanun Banado 1968 Banaise Goyana Dikhiase, initially covering a territorial limit of 40 kilometers. However, this limit was reduced to 16 kilometers in the year 2004, with further restrictions implemented in 2016, bringing it down to the current 10 kilometers. Then in February 2024, the Government of India announced the scrapping of FMR along the India-Myanmar border, citing the need to enhance national security and preserve the demographic integrity of Northeast India. Itu reason pra fencing line Gogoina suru hoise. The abolition of the free movement regime, along with the construction of border fencing and the introduction of these permits, has severely disrupted the long-standing historical, traditional, social, and familial connections, as well as the economic relationship of the indigenous Nagas living along the Myanmar-India border, India-Myanmar border in Nagaland particularly. This situation has fragmented ancestral lands and families that have coexisted for generations, resulting in significant emotional, mental, and physical distress for affected individuals. Itu ami English para Korea say kintu amala agoti longwa bosibra aro dang bosibra takan kiman duk pa ase kinika duk pa ase sukupani ula ase itu amange koi dise